Alright, so the Eagles signed an intriguing tight end / wide receiver prospect, and Avonte Maddox is set to return. However, with the Birds needing to create a roster spot, who's in more danger of being cut, Rashaad Penny or Albert O? Plus, AJ Brown's fed up with the Philly media, and is Jalen Carter hitting the rookie wall? Let's talk about it, but first, let's run it. Hey guys, so I've been spending a little bit of family time, so a little bit late getting this one up, but the good news is we'll be back to our regular scheduled programming, because you all know I wouldn't miss a chance to get some jabs in ahead of our matchup with the lying Mr. Pew 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 Jonathan Gannon, and more on Public Enemy number 1 in a second.
I hate that guy.
Okay, but let's start with the recent news that the Eagles signed another tight end to the practice squad in Griffin Hebert while placing Devon Allen on the practice squad IR, meaning he has to miss at least 4 games but freeing up a spot. Now, in case you're not super familiar with the new tight end, Griffin's a 24-year-old who the Birds listed officially as a wide receiver on the roster, but for anyone familiar with this guy in college, he also played a tight end fullback variety at Louisiana Tech, recording 99 receptions for 1,500 yards and 14 touchdowns. And at 6'1", 240 pounds, the dude's got considerable athleticism, since after choosing to enter the draft as a fullback prospect, he was rated the most athletic at that position ever in the history of the NFL draft, ranking 1 out of 479 fullbacks from 1987 to 2023. Although according to NFL.com's scouting report, his ideal position may be as a slot receiver, with Lance Zierlein writing undersized tight end whose speed and fluidity in space basically make him a big slot receiver. Hebert had an excellent pro day, which should put him on the map as a priority free agent. Evaluators could grow to appreciate his mismatch potential and run after the catch talent the more tape they consume. He needs to play with better effort as a blocker, but his athleticism, explosiveness, and speed could make him a developmental project for a team. Okay, cool, so he's got some potential, and that's obviously what you're looking for out of a practice squad guy. Plus, for those that may not recall, Hebert worked out for the Birds last month, and Outside the Birds was tracking him ever since before the draft, noting of the multiple virtual meetings he had with Philly. But with Noah Togai, sorry, no, I'm sure I butchered that, already on the practice squad as a tight end, and Avonte Maddox set to return any day now after 2 full weeks of practices, it begs the question, who's going to be the player cut to make room for Maddox's elevation? Naturally, with the speculation following the move, the first name I saw pop up multiple places was Albert Okwuegbunam. And let me just go ahead and admit to all you guys that I was way off on my assessment of Albert O. Remember, I even made a video entitled "He's a Freak" about the crazy potential for Big O after Howie Roseman traded the 2025 6th round pick for Denver's 7th along with the freakishly athletic tight end.
I was wrong.
Very wrong. I mean, the 25-year-old's only managed to get on the field in 4 games, amassing a total of 40 snaps and just 1 target. Of course, sure, I realize nobody's going to get a healthy number of targets behind AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert, and honestly, I wouldn't want them to. But as you look at the lack of production along with the remaining pieces on the roster, I'm not sure who else you're cutting to get Avonte back. Yeah, well, I guess there's also the same argument that could be made for Rashaad Penny, since he's only played in 2 games and been inactive in just about all the rest. And before you say it, I know there's theories of the Eagles keeping him fresh and healthy for the playoffs, but that just doesn't make any sense to me, especially when we're going through the gauntlet of games previously in search of a running game and he still didn't get any action. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I think DeAndre Swift's proven to be more than capable of carrying the load, assuming Brian Johnson dials up his number enough, but that's another issue and I'm not going to get into it right now. Okay, but getting back to the roster spot, who do you guys think ends up getting cut to make room? Personally, I'm leaning toward Albert O, especially with the way the Birds use the passing game and tight ends, plus if you were to lose Swift or Gainwell, I feel like having Penny would be more beneficial than Albert O to replace Goedert. And like I already alluded to, at least it wouldn't be a significant loss of a trade even if you went that route. Although maybe to keep Brandon Perna's prediction alive that Albert O will catch a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl for the Eagles, we should go with Rashaad.
And I fully expect the savvy Eagles to make this trade look absolutely stupid for the Broncos.
Seriously though, let me know what you guys think, or I don't know, is there another name that I'm not even mentioning that we should be considering? No, don't say Quez. I mean, I'd be okay with that, but I can't imagine Quez getting cut over the other 2 I mentioned regardless of how bad he's played. But speaking of a receiver, AJ Brown finally broke silence with a cryptic message that he's fed up with the Philly media.
I just don't trust them, yo. Every time I say something, it's get twisted up and thrown out in so many different publications. Try to tear me down with my words that I say. So when I don't say nothing, that's a problem.
Alright, I don't blame him, because remember how after the Giants game, the highlights continued to show of AJ getting an up-close look of Sirianni and Devonta's altercation on the sideline, followed by Brown declining to speak with the media saying, "I've got nothing nice to say," leading to all kinds of false narratives created afterwards, and sure, even Smitty said he was unhappy with the way the team played after the Giants win, but I'm with Lord Brunson, who said, "We still talking about AJ Brown not wanting to talk to reporters during the week or after the games? Who cares? Let's focus on the Cardinals. I'll start caring when he doesn't perform. He always shows up, so again, who cares? Like, honestly, at this point, AJ should just take the Marshawn Lynch approach with the Philly media.
I'm here so I won't get fined. I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Okay, where are you guys at with all this? I mean, having 2 wide receivers with 2 back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons hasn't ever happened until this year, so I'm not sure I'd say AJ's the issue. Either way, the good news is that our stud slot corner should officially be back and hopefully provides an additional spark to the turnover game. Oh yeah, and like Anthony pointed out, the Eagles are 12-2 in games that Avonte Maddox has played over the last 2 seasons, so we've got that going for us as well. Also, the defense will hopefully get back linebackers Zach Cunningham and Nicholas Morrow, who are limited participants at practice. Although, despite those guys returning, there's one weasel I'm not wishing any sort of cordial return, and neither is Nick Sirianni, kind of.
As much as I love Jonathan Gannon, I want, and because I do, like, I hired him to be the defense coordinator. We had so many special moments within the past 2 years, and my sentiment towards Jonathan Gannon is not the same of what I hear the city's sentiment is. All right, I love him. All right, and I'm always rooting for him, except for obviously this week. I want him to feel so freaking uncomfortable though when he walks into that, and I'm going to tell him. I said this. I want him to feel so uncomfortable, which I'm already sensing that's going to happen when he walks in that stadium, that he never wants to come back to Philly again, even if he left some stuff in his house that he's got to go back and pick up. I want this guy to feel so uncomfortable.
Not gonna lie, that's probably the best thing Sirianni said in weeks, or maybe even all season. And Josh Sweat took it a step further, saying, quote, "We've got to whoop his ass." Man, they better. Even if JG tried to be all PC now, saying Philly's such a great place, it's a hostile environment, they were on our side for 2 years when I was there, but our guys know we've played in some hostile environments. That's going to be one of them. So we got to do a good job of handling the elements and the noise and those things and operate at a high level, essentially referencing that it'll be fun.
You think football is still fun?
Well, it was fun.
Not anymore, though, is it?
I got news for you. He ain't going to enjoy it after this week, assuming everyone can shut up at the link. Okay, seriously though, if you're going to be at the game, Marcus Hayes is urging everyone to shut up when the Birds are on offense, because Jason Kelce told him it'd be nice if you could hear yourself think out there, with Jordan Mailata also adding 100%. I would love to hear the cadence. And even Jalen Hurts has noticed it more recently.
Yeah, I'm just trying to operate it. Kind of get loud on offense. They're supposed to get loud for the defense, not us.
Okay, just a reminder, but like Jalen said, make sure to make life difficult for Kyler Murray in the Cards offense, since Murray's already going to be coming in with a sickness, but no way he doesn't play. However, one of our studs could be getting a little less playing time in order to avoid the rookie wall, with Jalen Carter only generating 4 pressures over the last 4 games. Granted, he's been going up against double teams on nearly every play, so it could just be the way teams are blocking him now. But with a penalty against the Giants for not hustling off and also committing what should have been a clear encroachment against JC, it's fair to question if the NFL schedule is taking a toll on the Rook. And defensive coordinator Matt Patricia weighed in on that idea.
I guess through the course of my years, I've seen a lot of different rookies, and some, have been able to handle the transfer really well, and some have struggled through that from that standpoint. So, I don't know if it's just rookies. I don't know if it's, younger players, newer players. Sometimes, it might be a guy that has changed in the system, but the NFL season is definitely long. It's a grind. That's what we love about it, from that aspect of it. I think as you get and become more of a veteran player in the NFL, that routine, I think, is the biggest thing that saves you. I think that's the biggest thing that you lean on is, what is your routine? And you go into those modes of the season and you just have those timelines that you hit and those markers that whether it's, you're trying to get through September, and then you get to, whether it's the end of October, you hit Thanksgiving, you hit Christmas. You just know the timeline of the season from that aspect of it. I think it's interesting, obviously a couple years ago, you wouldn't think it's much, but when you went from 16 to 17, I did think that was a change. I thought that was a change in kind of how the season time marker went for some of the players, and I think that took a little while getting used to. And certainly for younger guys and rookies that come in the league, it is completely different than their timeline of what college was, and the markers that they might have had, whether it was Thanksgiving or Christmas, and then certainly then the break before they got ready for whatever postseason they had. And grinding through those months, staying consistent with it is hard. It's new for those guys.
All right, how are we feeling? Is Jalen hitting that proverbial rookie wall, or is this not really a big deal? Personally, I think we might see him play less against the Cards and then again versus New York so that he's fresh for the playoffs, but still something to at least keep an eye on. And another reminder that we're back after a week off from the live streams, where we'll be doing play-by-play, highlights, and reactions to all the Jonathan Gannon return. So feel free to swing by and hang out with us during the watch party. We'll see you there. This has been the Philly Special.